Hello and welcome to the AIDEM Risala Update PollTalk. The PollTalk is today at Varanasi, the constituency of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, from where he is contesting for the third time. And of course, we have been travelling across Uttar Pradesh covering elections, and there is another writer and political activist who once occupied a very important position in the Atal Behari Vajpayee government, BJP government. He was in the office of then Deputy Prime Minister Krishna Advani as an advisor, political advisor, as an editorial advisor, as a kind of coordinator, Sudheendra Kulkarni. Sudheendra ji, welcome to the AIDEM Risala Update PollTalk. Of course, you have been with us earlier also. But then you have been traveling over the last few days and looking at and you also wrote a very interesting piece on certain aspects of Narendra Modi's campaign. You qualified it as egregious lies and which are turning into self-goals for him. I mean, especially you referred to the Advani reference, and you wondered in that article, one doesn't know what prompted him to score this self-goal. Do you have any answers now? I mean, is it refer?
First of all, I'm happy once again to be joining you on AIDEM. I appreciate the initiative taken by journalists themselves to create an independent, non-partisan platform, digital platform. We need more and more such initiatives.
Absolutely.
And strongly defend media freedom, freedom of expression, and freedom of thought, which are at the core of democracy. 2024 election is first and foremost about defense of democracy, which is under threat. And I hope that the people of India collectively produce an outcome that goes a long distance in defending democracy. Now, coming to your question, I recently wrote an article in the Quint focusing on the lies of Prime Minister Modi. It is quite common in politics, especially in election politics, for people to exaggerate. And in exaggerating, they make claims that are not quite truthful about what they stand for. And they make claims to negate what the others stand for. In a contest, in a political contest, to some degree this is understandable. But to speak outright lies, and that too such lies coming from the Prime Minister, who holds the highest office in the largest democracy in the world, is a matter of deep concern. So we have seen in the past more than a month, nearly 3 months of election campaign, that the Prime Minister has resorted to falsehoods again and again and again. Irrespective of whether you support this party or that party, you expect important politicians holding important offices to stand by the core values of the Constitution, to stand by the motto of the Republic. The motto of the Republic is what? Satyameva Jayate. Truth shall prevail. It should not turn into Asatyameva Jayate. So this is what I highlighted in my article. I gave several instances, and I've had that the people do not get swayed by the speeches, the propaganda, and make an objective evaluation of what different parties stand for and what especially the Prime Minister stands for. Because as you said, he's now seeking the third term. Yeah. And after 10 years, the candidate serving for the ruling party for the office of Prime Minister again, because this election is being fought entirely in the name of Narendra Modi.
Yeah.
Never has any election, parliamentary election, been personalized to
Well,
the extent that it has been now. Therefore, one expects that the Prime Minister seeks a new mandate on the basis of his record, what he has done and what he seeks to do in future, rather than going into falsehood after falsehood.
Yeah, but what we have seen in this campaign this time, a very significant twist has taken place after the first two phases of polling. See, the BJP and the NDA campaign initially started with this slogan, Modi ki guarantee. But then, after the very first round of polling, when the signals from the ground came that, that the BJP may not be doing as good as it expected to be, immediately you heard the speech about Mangal Sutra and the Muslims being given a larger soften by taking it away from the Hindu communities. And I mean, communalism has always been the go-to subject for the BJP and Sant Parivar for a very long time. But this was actually kind of, broke all limits as the kind of campaign that, that especially as it comes from the Prime Minister. What do you think? That you have already spoken about the lies, but what do you think are the reasons for this shifting of gears?
No, one small correction, if I may. It is not that the BJP has always resorted to this kind of politics or even divisive politics.
Right.
Because I had the privilege of working closely with Prime Minister Atal Behari Vajpayee when last Mr. Advani was the Deputy Prime Minister. And in those 6 years, the BJP under Vajpayee made sincere efforts to integrate the nation. They did not resort to any divisive communal politics. What we are seeing now is a completely different kind of BJP. I've been in the BJP for 16 long years. I quit the BJP before Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister. What we are seeing is not just politics of communalism, of a most blatant kind, but also politics of lies. Let me give some examples. I was in Gujarat when the Prime Minister addressed a rally in Banaskantha. I was sitting with a friend of mine who owns a television channel, which is actually for BJP.
Okay.
And we were seeing on the screen the Prime Minister's speech, where he said, in Gujarati, of course, he said, if the Congress has a policy now to take all the resources away from one community and give it to another community. So, if you have a house of 4 rooms, for example, 2 rooms will be taken away. And then we went to the extent of saying, if you have 2 houses, 1 house will be taken away.
Yeah.
So I asked this friend of mine, ye kya bakwas hai? What kind of nonsense is this? Is this what he's saying? Because I could not, fully decipher what he was saying in Gujarati, even though I know a little bit of Gujarati. So he translated it for me and he said, this is what he said. My friend replied, no, this is not uncommon in Gujarati, in Gujarat. When he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, it was quite common for him to speak such language. Now, this is not an isolated instance. If you go back to 2019, the Prime Minister made a similar communal observation during an election campaign, referring to Muslims as a community which can be identified by the clothes they wear.
Yeah.
But that was in 2019. You can say just a one-off comment of that kind.
Yeah.
But this year, 2024, we are seeing repeated series of and more such irrational, outrageous, outlandish comments by the Prime Minister. You mentioned Mangal Sutra. In Rajasthan, he gave us a speech where he said, your Mangal Sutra will be snatched away. I've talked to even BJP supporters and RSS supporters. Who don't like this. Because no Prime Minister, or for that matter, not even common politicians talk like this.
Right.
Yeah. So, this election has actually descended into a propaganda full of lies.
So, you've been traveling And what are the signals? I mean, in fact, there is a string of opinion which feels that, that the Prime Minister and his Deputy Home Minister, they have resorted to this type of language and this type of propaganda, essentially because the writing on the wall is against them. Are you seeing something similar with your travels? You have traveled, I know that you're based in Maharashtra, you've traveled in Uttar Pradesh, you have traveled, you're planning to go to Bihar now. So what is it that you're seeing on the ground?
See, generally, a political leader, and especially one who is occupying a very important office, would not talk like this unless there is a degree of frustration and desperation. Let me give one more example of the kind of outrageous speeches the Prime Minister has been giving. He said that the Congress did not vote for President Draupadi Murmu in the presidential election because of the color of her skin, I heard. Now, of course, the pretext to that was Sam Pitroda's statement, uncalled for totally.
Yeah.
That doesn't behold the Prime Minister to bring the President of India into an election campaign and make a statement like this. So, if you add up all these together, it means that they have moved far away from their original focus of the campaign, that was Modi ki guarantee. If you read the election manifesto, which itself was called Modi ki guarantee, it was lots of, you may debate, but the focus there was on development, on people's welfare. If they had stuck to that, it would have been a different matter. But soon after the first phase was over, we're not talking about their guarantees, we're not talking about the track record, they're constantly harping on the Congress. So, in fact, we are reacting to the Congress manifesto.
Yeah.
We have made the Congress manifesto more popular. So, I see, I've traveled in Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, now UP. I see that this is a very closely contested election. The arrogance that marked Ab ki baar 400 par, electoral, and was served by the BJP alone will win 370 seats. We're not repeating it now. Even they themselves are not repeating. So what does it show? That the election is now becoming a contest.
Right.
Right. Now we don't know where the falling graph of the BJP will stop. That will know only when June 4th. But I agree with you that this is a clearly contested election.
But as you pointed out, one of the things, if you look at the 2014 and 2019 elections and compare is what's happening now. See, in both those general elections, the narrative was set by the BJP, especially by Narendra Modi, and the opposition parties were responding to it. But for a change, we are seeing that the Congress manifesto has become one of the central points of this election. How do you look at a phenomenon like that in terms of political analysis as a political observer?
See, it's good that we see 2024 in the context of what happened in 2014 and 19.
Yes.
2014 was a landmark election where there was a positive mandate for Modi and a mandate against UPA.
Yeah.
People wanted change, and they saw change in the form of Narendra Modi. So, for the first time, the BJP got a majority on its own. 5 years later, not that they were completely happy with the performance of the Modi government, but something unexpected happened. Silvana, Balakot, and the whole mood of the nation changed. The beneficiary was the BJP, which in fact increased the tally. Where the opposition was reacting to the BJP's agenda, or what the BJP wanted the nation to think of. This time it's the other way around. You have rightly observed that the Congress has mounted a very spirited campaign. It began actually not with the campaign itself. I give a great deal of credit to Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra. someone, a congressman himself in UP mentioned to me that had that Bharat Jodo Yatra not happened, the Congress would have been decimated. It is the Bharat Jodo Yatra and the bold initiative taken by Rahul Gandhi which enlivened the party. And thereafter, of course, the image of Rahul Gandhi has changed. People are now taking him seriously. Even his critics are taking him seriously. Added to this is a very positive, by and large, a very positive manifesto, which focused on the people's welfare. And of course, there was a certain degree of, repetition or a repetition of the success they found in Karnataka, guarantees. You've traveled in Karnataka. I'm sure that, these is welfare promises which have been implemented to some extent are paying dividends. So they are now magnified to the national level. But most importantly, the Congress campaign has focused on unemployment amongst the youth, and the Congress campaign has focused on price rise. On both fronts, 10 years of the Modi government
is an absolute failure.
And which is why the BJP is on the back foot. And constantly in speech after speech after speech, Narendra Modi is hitting back at Rahul, calling him Shahzada. But the people don't see that image of Rahul Gandhi 10 years ago is what they are seeing today. Is a different Rahul Gandhi. And similarly, the image of Narendra Modi is not what it was 10 years ago. There is an expectation that surrounded Narendra Modi. Today, it's not so. So, you see a Prime Minister who is somewhat nervous. The energy levels have fallen down. And we are sitting in Varanasi. He had a road show. And I have heard from several people that this road show was very pale in comparison to what 2018 and 19. If this is happening in Prime Minister's own constituency, you can imagine what the mood of the nation is, what the mood of the people in Uttar Pradesh is. So, there is a big contrast between the BJP's confidence and aggressiveness in 2014 and 19 and BJP's defensiveness in 2024.
Well, yesterday in one of his speeches where again he referred to the India Alliance and Congress, Narendra Modi said that that they are planning a structure where they'll have one Prime Minister for each year and 5 Prime Ministers. How do you look at a kind of projection like that? And you talked about Rahul Gandhi emerging, changing his image and kind of. Do you think that he has now become Prime Minister material?
You see, we must objectively look at the Pearl situation today, and there is certainly one strong point the BJP has on which the India Alliance and the Congress stand on a weak wicket, and that is the question of stability. For the BJP, there is an unquestioned leader, and who is projected as the next Prime Minister again. The people of India expect stability. Stability has always played an important role in the collective consciousness of the Indian people when they vote for a government in a parliamentary election. The India Alliance has not been very cohesive, nor an alliance that has projected a leader to be its future Prime Minister. This is certainly a weakness on the part of the India Alliance.
Right.
So we have to see to what extent this plays a role in the current election. I believe that on this particular plank, the BJP will score.
And that's an important plank. There's no doubt about it.
Rahul Gandhi has not been projected as the Prime Minister.
Do you personally think that his development has got into a stage where he can be accepted as a Prime Minister?
It has not happened in this election. He has certainly risen in the collective mind of the people of India, including his critics.
Yeah.
Although sometimes, in my opinion, he makes mistakes. One such mistake, in my opinion, is when he supported this concept of Jitni Abadi Utna Hakti. That is,
You wrote
Right.
about it also.
yes, rights
On the
basis of the portion of population of different castes and subcastes.
Yeah.
This, I believe, is an unconstitutional concept. It is a divisive concept, and it cannot be implemented either. Rahul Gandhi should have, while I am all for affirmative action, I am all for very strong, effective measures that promote equality of opportunities, and reducing the stark inequalities and disparities that we see today. The aspirations of people of the marginalized community, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, the most backward OBCs,
Minorities.
the most backward among not all minorities. Yeah, we again make a mistake.
Yeah.
We club minorities with SCs and STs.
No,
That's the wrong thing.
Right.
Because our six, a backward community, are Christians, a backward community, Parsis, are they a backward community? No, and for that matter, are all Muslims.
No,
backward?
large sections.
So therefore, we must never make the mistake of saying all minorities are marginalized. That's that actually plays into the hands of
Absolutely.
the BJP.
Yeah.
We should all stand for the marginalized, the poor among Muslims. There is also a certain creamy layer that has developed amongst the scheduled castes and certainly amongst the OBCs.
Yeah.
So these nuances we must not ignore while designing a new affirmative action policy strategy that brings greater equality and social justice, economic justice in Indian society. So I was saying that sometimes Rahul Gandhi goes to the extreme. The Congress party has never been a party of extremes. The Congress party is a party that synthesizes all the positive elements of all the ideologies. That is the strength of the Congress party. Traditionally, and that is the only way the Congress party can go. It should not try to take shortcuts.
Anyway, I think this is actually a matter for a separate debate because we are moving away from the elections and looking at larger issues, and I certainly agree with you that the creamy layer factor has to be factored in, and also that the elite among the Muslim communities have to be kind of seen separately from the marginalized and Muslim communities. We shall certainly discuss that. And I know that you are now moving to Bihar, and you went back to Maharashtra and vote on the 20th. I would like to continue our conversation and look at what you have seen in Bihar and how we look at the Maharashtra elections in the next edition of AIDEM or conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Let's hope that the people of India, right from Kerala to Kashmir and from Gujarat to the Northeast, they vote in a manner that protects democracy, that protects the core values of the Constitution, which means the diversity of India, the religious diversity, the linguistic diversity, the caste diversity, cultural diversity. India has a lot of diversities. If this diversity is sought to be removed and only one ideology, one culture, one religion is sought to be imposed, we will have big problems. And in that sense, this election is a warning. And the warning, it is a good thing that the Prime Minister and the BJP has sunk to these levels of falsehoods and communalization, which has exposed, which has alerted people. And let's hope that the people give a good mandate.
Sudheendra, you spoke about the serial rise of the Prime Minister, of course, along with his Deputy Home Minister Amit Shah. And then you also talked about how it is being perceived on the ground. But one of the things that you also mentioned in that article was that that none of the major mainstream channels or the newspapers addressed this very big lie that was uttered and a kind of outlandish comment that was made on the basis of that. But at the same time, we are also seeing certain other developments in the media. Like, for example, a close ally of the BJP and the Prime Minister, ZTV, and its founder, Subhash Chandra, is he has changed his tone and that he has just become a kind of closet or indirect critic of the Prime Minister and the party. We also see certain changes in another the mainstream news outlet, the Hashtag India Today group, which is also nuancing and then which is giving more space to opposition leaders. What do you make out of all these things?
See, the last 10 years have seen the mainstream media becoming what is now popularly called a Goti media. Completely blind, subservient. It reminds me of what Krishna Advani ji had said soon after the emergency was lifted. No, emergency was a time of complete censorship. And most editors as well as owners of the newspapers over here, therefore there were no television channels, they surrendered. After the emergency was lifted, Advani ji as the Minister of Information and Broadcasting and as someone who piloted most of the bills that removed the authoritarian legislations introduced during the emergency, he said, addressing a group of media persons and media owners, well, during the emergency, remember, you were only expected to bend, but we chose to crawl. So this time, there is no emergency, but most of the mainstream media has actually been crawling in front of the government. Yet, we are seeing some changes, even in the mainstream media, that to some of the examples you gave just now. But I see a far greater contribution in defending media freedom and also in creating mass awareness about the main issues. This contribution is coming from the social media, especially digital platforms like yours and many others on YouTube. They are being watched extensively, even by the common people, and they are very bold. They don't hesitate to talk about the communal politics of the BJP or the lies of the BJP, which is a very good thing. Now, parallelly, something heartening is also happening. Very recently, we saw the Supreme Court giving a verdict, releasing Prabir Purkayastha of Newsclick. Not only is he released, and the Supreme Court has said that his arrest was illegal.
Right.
And the whole case against Newsclick was so blatantly fabricated. So I tweeted, I said that the fabricated case against Newsclick and the arrest was only a trailer. The Prime Minister has been saying, ये 10 साल में तो हमने जो देखा वो ट्रेलर था, अब फिल्म भी है, बाकी मेन पिक्चर बाकी है, मेन पिक्चर बाकी है. Now if this was the trailer, one shudders to think what the main picture would consist of. Therefore, it was a good thing that even the Supreme Court is showing some independence and giving hope to the people that the highest court will stand by democracy, will stand for the values of the Constitution. Supreme Court gave a wonderful judgment in the electoral bonds case. All of us know that yet another constitutional authority, that's the Election Commission, has been the most partisan election commission in the history of elections in India.
Yeah.
But the Supreme Court is one hopes that the Supreme Court will start giving more and more good decisions, just decisions, fair decisions, and will hold the government to account. And similarly, the media, even the mainstream media, looking at what is the undercurrents in this election, will gain at least some courage to show the truth to the people. And I'm absolutely certain that whatever be the outcome of this election, even if Narendra Modi becomes Prime Minister again, he will not be able to govern India the way he has done in the last 10 years.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Right.